Jam Session is a podcast where two guys who grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth discuss sports, craft beer, life, and their experiences living in one of America's most vibrant cities. If you love sports, you're going to love this show. If you love craft beer or you're curious about it, you'll love this show. Great conversations with good friends is what Jam Session is all about.
Welcome. It's nice to have you here. I hope you enjoy it. I think you will.
You're listening to the Jam Session Podcast.
I was told that I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume.
With Cowboys insider...
What's your name?
Jean-Jacques Taylor.
That's my name.
Radio personality and craft beer expert, Matt McLaren.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot. Comes from upbringing.
And now, the Jam Session Podcast. It is indeed Jam Session. Subscribe, rate, and review, and hang out with us for a while. Right here on the Jam Session Podcast. The moment we've all been waiting for has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, the radio, TV, and now podcast star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor.
What up, dog?
I would be the non-sexy one, Matt McLaren. And this is Jam Session, the podcast, version 28, asking simply that you prepare to be dazzled.
If not entertained.
And as always, we like to dazzle you with some of our sponsors because we appreciate what they do in making this possible. Let's tell you about HFX Foundation Solutions, a full-service foundation repair company that services all of Dallas-Fort Worth. They specialize in slab and pier and beam foundation repair, and they can handle your drainage and gutter installations. They work with realtors, structural engineers, and, of course, homeowners. If you see those cracks and you have worries, HFX Foundation Solutions can help you out. They are affordable, reliable, and warranted. You'll get an initial free inspection, and they will be with you the whole way. HFX Foundation Solutions, A-rated with Better Business Bureau. You can check them out online at hfxfoundation.com or give them a call at 817-770-0174. And of course, as we continue, we would like to tell you about our friends there at Freeway Tire Shop. Jacques, you had a great experience. They changed. I mean, it's simple. Sometimes you don't even think about some of the simple things your car needs, but you had an oil change. Everything went very well for you.
Dude, the thing I liked about it most was I rolled up. They didn't know who I was, dude. I was just a regular old customer, man. Walked in there, asked for an oil change. I'm telling you, Matt, 20 minutes tops. I was out of there. Synthetic oil, 5 quarts, $35, bro. That's the truth right there. I did a double take, man, because normally I'm for real. I spend $60, $70 on a synthetic oil change because it lasts a little bit longer. So.
Yeah.
Pleased with the service from JR and the boys over there, and I will be back.
State inspections, oil changes, alignments, mechanic work, tires, Freeway Tire Shop. It's in Dallas right off 35. Competitive pricing. Fantastic customer service. You can check them out at freewaytireshop.com. Schedule an appointment, request a quote at freewaytireshop.com. But as we get into this here this morning, actually, you know what? I also want to tell you about this because this is not a sponsor, but it's something that we're doing. We've gotten several orders from this. And guys, you need to get your orders in. If you are looking for a Jam Session t-shirt, we've got them. $20 plus shipping. Yes, we are shipping these ourselves, and we do have to pay for shipping. So it's $20 plus shipping. Now, right now, we have the red and the black Jam Session t-shirts. You can see pictures of these up on our Instagram at Jam Session Cast if you want to check those out. Right now, we have medium, large, and extra large in stock, but I know that we're going to order some double XL and triple XL because we've gotten a lot of orders, or several of you have at least expressed interest that you would like those. So we're going to get those for you, but we've been selling a few of these. We've had several orders. So if you would like one, get them before we run out, the Jam Session t-shirt, and send your orders to me. Just send me an email. Tell me what your shipping address is and what size and color shirt you want, and then I'll send you like a receipt/invoice so you know how to pay for them. Matt at jamsessionpodcast.com. Send me an email.
Dude, we've already sent them to Sherman, Arlington, some place called Tioga, Texas. Mm-hmm. Hey, we're national, or I guess we're international in Texas.
That's very true. So there it is. So send me I know this. I know that Mashman wants some. So once we get I think he wants 2XL, and he lives in Brazil.
Yeah, baby.
So
That would be international for real.
That is international, yes. So again, send me an email, matt@jamsessionpodcast.com. But as we get into this today, I think this is interesting because you and I mean, back when we were on the radio, we talked about this, and I had no doubts that moving into year 3 for Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks, that the NBA was going to want to feature Luka as much as possible in big-time, primetime games as he ascends to one of the faces of the NBA. And nowhere do you get more proof of that than on Christmas Day. And the Mavs, the NBA has released a Christmas Day schedule. And not only are the Mavs playing on Christmas Day, but they have the primetime game, 7 o'clock tip, against LeBron James and the defending world champion Los Angeles Lakers.
That is when you have arrived. You have arrived. You're now one of the elite must-see TV teams because, number one, you're on Christmas Day. And number two, they are stacking you up against King James in prime time. So everybody's already opened up their gifts. Everybody's already eaten. Everybody's already taking their afternoon slumber. They're ready. They got the eggnog. They got the drink. They got the craft beer. They're ready to go and watch who? LeBron, AD, KP. No, he won't be playing. And Luka. That, my friends, is the top of the heap as far as it goes from NBA marketing.
It's pretty, when I saw that, I mean, I was excited, but I wasn't surprised at all because I actually expected it. Now, what I was somewhat like, damn, was the fact that it is going to be the Lakers and LeBron, and the fact that it is the prime time. It doesn't get more prime time than that tip time for a Christmas Day game. And this is something that I would imagine. I mean, look, Giannis is playing on Christmas Day, but he's not playing at 7 o'clock. You know, this is where they put the stars that they want to feature, that they know are going to draw a crowd for them on Christmas Day. And now it becomes one of those things, well, damn. I mean, I hope that we're done with everything Christmas because at 7 o'clock, we're all going to have to sit down and watch this.
No, that's exactly how it's going, man. Exactly how it's going.
Which
it's great to me.
It is great. It's fantastic. And I think, as you said, and this is another one of those things that, you know, as time goes by, and we've kind of talked about this, it's still wild to me that we've got that guy, that Dallas finally, after all this time, has somebody that around the league is looked at and revered. And I know that Dirk was to some degree, but it didn't happen for him this quickly and this obvious. And I don't think that, you know, Dirk was just talked about in a different way than Luka is. Dirk was talked about, oh, he's going to revolutionize the position and stretch the floor. Luka's talked about like he can be one of the top 5 players that ever touched a basketball.
Well, I mean, I think it's, it didn't take long to figure out he was a really good player. But now it's like if he follows the trajectory, he's going to be one of the all-time greats. And he was like that in Europe. He came over here, didn't miss a beat. And he's only going to get better over the next 7-8 years, man. And so to me, it's all about how do you continue to get better, make your team better, do your thing, and elevate your team so that you're winning, 55, 60 games a year and competing for a championship every year, basically. In the conversation, as I like to say.
Yeah, it is. It's something really special. And again, when you look at this Christmas Day lineup, Zion is playing. The Heat, who obviously lost in the NBA Finals, are playing. Steph and Giannis are playing. Kevin Durant, his return with Kyrie and those boys up in Brooklyn are playing up against Boston, which is a huge market, of course. And then you've got Denver and the Clippers and the Stars and the Power, and as good as those teams are supposed to be. It's just wild to see that 7 o'clock game. I mean, like Zion got 11 a.m. Zion's game tips at 11 a.m. on Christmas morning.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, you may not, like, some people go to church for an hour or so on Christmas. Some people wake up late. They have gifts. They have a brunch kind of breakfasty thing. Like, Zion Day, maybe we see you, maybe we done, we'll check the highlights. Well, there's a lot of activity going on. People just showed up from across town with their kids. Now they got to open up stuff. Man, they know, it's good you're on Christmas Day, but ain't a lot of people watching that game.
Very correct, yes, because at 11 a.m., at least in my family, we're probably still opening presents and getting ready for like a mid-morning Christmas lunch type thing.
See what I'm saying? Exactly.
And yeah, the TV is not going to be on that early in the day, I can promise you that. But for Luka at 7 o'clock, the eyes of the nation will be focused. And again, I mean, look, this is two of the top 5 markets in the country in Dallas and Los Angeles, and two of the most iconic, recognizable current players in the NBA, and Luka against LeBron. And if you don't believe us, I thought this was incredible. Now, we've heard, maybe it was last season or maybe when he was a rookie, I can't remember, but LeBron was asked about people he would want to play with. And he went through this list, and he named Luka on a list of like 8 guys or whatever it was. And at the time, I remember talking about this when we were doing the radio show. We were all like, damn, like LeBron named like KD or, AD or Steph or whatever. And then Luka's on that list. You're like, damn, like this is the king, man. The king is pointing at us peasant Mavs fans and recognizing that the kid from our village can be royalty, essentially. And so LeBron was on, apparently he does this show called Road Trippin' with LeBron James, which is on Spectrum Sportsnet. And so he was sitting down with the host of this show. Listen, and this is LeBron James in his own words. It's about 1.5 minutes long. Listen to the praise and the love that he expresses for Luka Doncic here.
Luka is one of my favorite players in the NBA today. From the simple fact of the way I play the game is exactly how I love the way he plays the game. Team first, gets his guys involved. If you challenge me to score, I'm going to score. And at the same time, I'm going to score. And also, at the same time, I'm going to keep my guys involved. But I play for the team, and I'm going to play with a sense of joy. When Luka was going through his contract negotiations with Nike, and you saw him at one point, he was wearing Jordans. He started wearing the other brands.
Other brands, you don't even say.
Yeah, I don't say the other brands.
So good at that.
He was wearing the other brands on his feet during practices in Notion. I wanted to begin Team LeBron and have Luka as my first signing with Nike.
Oh, wow.
This is what I wanted. I don't believe that my guys at Nike was ready for that. And obviously they were not, because he ended up going to Jordan.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if Luka knows this, but he would know it now. I wanted Luka to be the first signee of Team LeBron when he was going through his situation. And it didn't happen. He's still under the same umbrella of Nike's with Jordan, but I wanted him to be, and that's how much I believed in him. Yeah. And it's going to, I feel like it's going to haunt me a little bit.
It's going to haunt you.
But I wanted him to be my guy. I wanted him to be my first guy because I just love what he stands for. I love everything about him, both on the court and off the court. He's just a great guy.
Incredible.
Wow.
90 seconds of just unbelievable high praise, love. I mean, essentially saying that if there's anybody that I see that has been playing this game and LeBron's been around the league forever, that reminds me of me, it's Luka Doncic.
Dude.
I mean, think about that. Think of the stars that are in the game today, the young stars, the up-and-coming guys, whether it's Giannis or Zion or even Trae Young out in Atlanta. So many, a variety of players that LeBron could have selected to be like, look, I mean, I read into it like this, and maybe I'm way over the top. I don't know. But I read into it where he's saying, I know that my time in the NBA, like I'm in the backside of my career, I'm starting this brand, and I'm going to have, much like Michael Jordan still to this day has the Jumpman brand, and he hadn't played in the NBA in 2 decades. LeBron recognizes that and is building the LeBron brand. And the first guy he wanted to rep that is Luka Doncic.
Doesn't really get any better than that, man. The first cat he wants to rep it is Luka Doncic. And that tells he's been praising his game for a minute, but that just tells you that it's real. And the best thing about it is he says he plays the way I play, which is I can score, but he gets a lot of joy out of getting his guys involved. And that's always why I think other guys won't mind playing with Luka, because, if I need to score, I can score, but I don't have to score 30. I can, but I don't have to. And I think if the money's right, guys will pay attention to that. And especially role players, as you try to fill out the team later, they're like, I want a ring. Okay, let me go play with Luka.
Yeah, and I think we haven't seen it just yet, but next summer in 2021, even if it's not Giannis, there's a loaded free agent class, and I think you're going to start seeing that Dallas becomes a destination as long as Luka is here. And we've had Tim McMahon on the podcast before, ESPN NBA insider, and he's talked about how let's not just all of a sudden assume that because Dirk was here for 21 years that Luka feels that way and that he's just going to stay for 20 years no matter what. But they've got him because they can go from his rookie contract when it kicks in, and they're going to have him, as McMahon has explained, for a few seasons at least. In that time period, you can build a winner around him and then hope that you supermax him and that he wants to stay for a few more years as he moves through his prime. If you're able to pull in some guys, the way he plays the game should allow for that to happen.
The way he plays the game and his personality should allow that to happen, man. You know, he's the kind of guy who I would think you like hanging out with as well. So it's not just the basketball, it's all the other stuff too. But winning's important, money's important, and having a superstar on your team's important. And Luka's going to be able to check all those boxes. And it's fun, man, to have a cat at the beginning of his career where you can really watch him grow and mature. And like you said, the difference is Dirk evolved into a superstar. Luka, like year 2, boom, I'm one. And so it hasn't taken very much time, man. And it's a joy to watch, man. He's a cat, and I don't say this about a lot of people on the real. He's a dude I had no problem plunking down money to play and watch, because every time you see him, he's going to leave you with a couple of wow moments.
Yeah, Luka has become the guy for me where, you know, I'll watch Mav games, and I watched them before Luka came around, but I didn't feel like I needed to see every single one of them. And now with Luka, I feel like if I don't see a Mavs game, I immediately, I have that FOMO. I have the fear that I missed out on whatever it is that Luka did in that game, because it's always something. Even if it's just one play, there's always something every game that he does that makes me just chuckle or giggle or have my mind blown that this dude is playing for the Dallas Mavericks.
No, and that's the beauty of Luka. I mean, that's his power. And that's what it is. And it's going to be like that for a minute, bro, because he's destined to be one of the all-time greats right now.
I know, and that's what's so wild. And to hear those words from LeBron, I love watching him play. He's my favorite player in the NBA to watch, that in comparison to himself, wanted him for his brand, and that Luka didn't even know that. He's like, well, he does now. I mean, it's
unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. This is going to be an exciting season. And I know that we've moved past kind of the aw shucks happy gee willikers, man, that was neat to watch this team overachieve. But it's still going to be fun because we're about to go back into what this team used to be when Dirk was in his prime, where they could fall out of bed, win 50 games, and get into the playoffs. And once you're in the playoffs, you try and see what can happen. Now, Dirk got to the promised land once. Obviously, he lost the other time he was on top of the mountain. But you're starting to see that the Mavs, and I don't think it's going to happen this year, but the window of opportunity is about to open to where this is a team that people across the league will point at year in and year out, as long as Luka is here, as a team that can win the title. Will they win it? Who knows? But they can, and we're very close to that window where the expectation is going to start becoming rings and appearances in the NBA Finals.
Well, they're building it the right way. So, you know, they're all about trying to get it done. They've changed. I mean, just look at the way they changed the roster. There's been a bigger emphasis on defense, all right? They're getting wing players. They're trying to find specific things that they need to compete. They're going to be a really good team, man. And like you said, now it's all about, we're now about to begin the journey of collecting hardware. And that's cool.
We'll see. Again,
I promise no hardware.
I don't think it's going to be this year, but I'm actually really curious to see, because as efficient as the Mavs were offensively last year, if their defense can improve to where it's middle of the pack or slightly better, yeah, their offense probably isn't going to be as good since Seth Curry is not here, but you still got guys that are capable of doing things. And that's the thing about playing with Luka. I mean, look how good Tim Hardaway Jr. has been just because he plays with Luka, and he stepped up and had career years. Seth Curry was knocking it lights out because all these dudes have to do, go stand where you're comfortable making shots, and I'll get you the ball.
Dude, and then all you got to do is hit wide open jumpers, man. Can it be any easier than that? I mean, really?
No, it can't. And that's why I think you're going to see guys as free agents that are going to check in on Dallas. Can I fit here? Do I want to play here? Because, and this will be interesting as well, and we've kind of seen it with KP and Luka. If Luka can function, because he is so able, I think the LeBron comparison that he made is dead on, because LeBron is a guy who's able to get whatever it is that he needs to get that night that satisfies him, while also allowing other guys to do the same thing, so that you can play with another star or two, because there's enough to go around, and Luka will make sure that you get it. All right, as we continue with you here on the Jam Session podcast, it is time to tell you about a couple of our sponsors once again, because we do have some great sponsors. One of those, of course, is a guy that likes to rub his hands all over Jacques' body, which is really nice. CTC Chiropractic in DeSoto.
I really wish you wouldn't say it like that. But that being said, take it from me. You haven't lived until my boys put his magic hands on you and take away the pain. Or in my case, just keep you feeling right. Like, I'm literally going by there after we do the show today to get my weekly adjustment. And it keeps me right, man. I've been doing it for years. I've never felt better. Keeps me feeling great. More important, when your body's in tune, you can really feel it when it gets out of tune. So let me tell you about that, man. Now, you ain't got to take my word for nothing. You can go check him out in DeSoto by scheduling an appointment at ctcchiropractic.com or give him a call at 972-807-2310. CTC Chiropractic takes most insurance, and it also has cash plans. You can get on a maintenance plan, or you can come whenever you feel like you need to get adjusted. Let me tell you, let CTC Chiropractic help you feel great. Schedule a consultation and a visit today at ctcchiropractic.com.
Make that happen. And also, of course, thanks to Blue Star Motor Group. Been telling you about these guys for a while now. They specialize in superior quality, Carfax certified pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models. How about this one? A 2017 Jaguar F-Pace S. All-wheel drive. They've certified Carfax one owner. It still has remaining factory warranty on it, which is pretty awesome. This thing is loaded up. It has driver's assistance package, a tech package, a heads-up display, brand new tires. Now, there's only 46,000 miles on this. Brand new, this goes for over $68,000. They've got it right now at Blue Star Motor Group, $36,991.
Let me tell you, man. Now, I bought a lot of cars in my life, and I own 5 of them right now. They're all paid for, so stop judging me.
Right.
That, I promise you, that is the way to buy a car. You let somebody else take that big depreciation hit, and then you go drive that luxury car, especially with one owner. Dude, if I had room on my lot for another car.
Yeah, this is a good deal, man.
I go make it happen. Because I love, the lovely Lorraine's got a Jag, so we like Jags.
Yeah, that's one of those cars, especially with only 46,000 miles on it, for that price, for that type of a car. Jeez.
I'm telling you, bro.
All right, well, Blue Star Motor Group can make it happen for you. You can check them out online at bluestarmotorgroup.com. They support us, so support them. Give Deb a call if you have any questions or you see something on their website you'd like, 817-881-4066. So as we move forward here on the Jam Session podcast, it is time to take a trip around the block. And that brings us, as it will do from time to time, sometimes it's super local, sometimes not. But we're going to start with the local story and then kind of expand out from there.
All right.
Because a waitress in Texas, and this is absolutely wild to me.
This is some poppycock BS.
A waitress at a Texas restaurant down in the San Antonio area received a $2,000 tip, which is considerable. I mean, obviously for anybody. Now, the crazy thing about this was it was somebody who was really, it sounds like, just trying to be nice to her.
Right.
Because the amount of the bill was $69 and she got a $2,000 tip with a note that says, "Merry Christmas, keep working so hard."
Well, it's one of those days, and you worked in the service industry.
I did.
And my brother has worked in the service industry for like a decade or so, where it's one of those days where everything was going wrong for her.
Yep.
And she kept going, "I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry it took so long to get the water. I'm sorry silverware's not here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Now, people like me be like, at some point, like, I'm kind of tired of you being sorry. But depending on your spirit on a given day, this person was like, I've had a day like this. Let me cut you some slack.
Yeah, and man, did he ever. And apparently the guy that tipped also was in the restaurant business.
See?
And kind of understood what was going on. She's 21 years old. This happened at a place called Red Hook Seafood and Bar in San Antonio. Now, this is great, right? You got a $2,000 kit tip. This is fantastic. Good for you. Well, unfortunately, the restaurant told her that which I think, and I got to tell you, man, And I'm just going to throw this out there because I worked for a couple of different restaurants and probably about 3 years of my life cumulatively, maybe more.
Right.
I spent waiting tables.
Right.
This is bullshit.
I told you that from the beginning.
Because the restaurant told her that they cannot process a tip larger than $500. And so my first thought was, so if that's the case, then you can't process a bill larger than $500.
Right.
Because why would it matter if it was a tip? It all comes essentially from the same place.
You know exactly what happened.
Yeah. And so then they said, okay, well, if that's the case, some of the other servers suggested, well, then why don't you just process 4 separate tips of $500 to make sure she gets the $2,000?
Makes sense.
And the manager told her that they can't do that either and that they wouldn't do that. So she is now taking this and the media found out about it. And so the restaurant, and I don't know if they're going to make good on this or what.
They're going to have to make good on it.
You would think so, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, this is ridiculous.
What happened is, I guarantee you, now, depending on whether it was a real mom and pop spot or if it's, a little bigger, either the manager took it or not, nobody just said, oh, Mr. Owner, here's $1,500. The manager, the assistant manager's like, why should she get $2,000? Let's each take $500, whatever.
Right.
But the publicity is going to come out so big that one, they're going to have to give her the $2,000, which they should.
Yeah, because the guy wanted to give it to her.
And two, something's rotten, something's fishy, and if the owner had nothing to do with it, then the owner would be like, you know what, you're out of here.
Yeah, it's really shady as hell, man.
Person.
And it reminds me a couple of times. One time when I was waiting tables at Fridays, I decided sometimes you would get people, and this is the worst thing to ever do. If you're in the service industry, anybody who's ever been in the service industry would never, ever do this. My lady and I, as a matter of fact, a lot of the times we won't do it. If it's within 30 minutes of a place closing, we won't. We're like, oh, no, they close at 10. It's 9:40. Nah, we're not going in. Because they're trying to wrap up and go home. They've been working all day. But every once in a while, you'll get somebody, and it's happened a couple of times to me. One happened like 5 minutes, like we closed at 11, I believe. And at like 10:55, this like a party came in, a table of 12.
Not a party.
And I'm like, God, and I had been there the longest. So I told the other guys, I was like, look, y'all just get out of here, do your side work, and I'll just take it and whatever. It is what it is. At least, I can grab them and gratuity. So I should be able to get somewhat of a decent tip. So it ended up going okay. We had a decent going. They were there for like an hour past closing. So it's just me and the manager left. And so I decided, and this is a waiter's choice. A lot of waiters with a party of 6 or more, if it's automatic, they'll just automatically include gratuity. But if you do that, most people are like, that's it. That's all you're going to get. Some parties, if you're having a good experience with them, will tip you more. Especially late, a big party like that. So
you rolled the dice.
I rolled the dice. I was like, I'm not going to include gratuity, and I'll just see what happens. And so they tipped me, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but for a Friday's tip, it was like a couple $100. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And so I went, and the manager processed it and everything, and I got paid out. The next day I showed up, and apparently the guy had called up there and said that he had made a mistake. He meant to write $20 and not $200, and had gone back through and realized what he did and wanted his money back. And I had to give him
Did you
the
really?
money. Yes, they made me give him the money back. I was like, this is ridiculous.
There's a party at 12.
I know, and I was like, look at this. And he had wrote 200. And he said, no, it was a mistake. I didn't mean to. Why would I tip 200 on whatever it was? I mean, it was just so silly. And so it became what it was. Who knows? And then one time when I was waiting tables at a really fine establishment in the stockyards, I got, and you have to realize that this is one of those places that you're probably not getting out of there for less than $100 for 2 people.
Right.
That level of, you're going to throw some cheese down.
Right.
So I finally got to a point in that restaurant where I could wait on a party by myself, and I had a party of 8. And in that place, you didn't have they automatically included the gratuity because they wanted the people to know, look, whatever you want is it's in here. Don't even worry about it. And so we tell them, hey, the gratuity is included, just so you know, when you drop off the tip. And this guy, and this was a party of 8, so the bill was something like over a couple $1,000 because I got wine and stuff with it. And the gratuity,
that's good right away.
Yeah,
that's $400.
Yeah,
right
$400 just off 20%, whatever. The dude tipped me an additional $500.
$500.
And I saw it. I said, again, the gratuity was already included. He goes, no, you did great. No. That we meant to do that. It's for you. So I got it was about an $878 tip when it was all done. Jeez. So I told him, I was like, well, I'm not going to come in this weekend. So fill my shifts. And it paid. I mean, that at the time, this was probably close to 20 years ago, maybe 16, 17 years ago, back when you could get an apartment where your rent, that basically paid my rent for the month in one night.
No, I had some, I never worked in a restaurant. I was always a bellman or a valet. And so I never had anything remotely close to that. In the bellman world, if you got dropped to 20, that was living large. Because again, you're just going to one room and back. And then especially if it was somebody like that and they said, hey, you did such a good job. When I check out, I'm going to ask for you. That was an old trick. Tell people, hey, check out, ask for me.
Yeah.
Young high school kid. I'm working, saving money for college. Oh, that was a Taylor line like a mug right there.
I used to do like in the situation that this girl got into, they call it getting in the weeds when it's you're really busy and you got to figure out how to do stuff and all that, right?
Right.
And so when you get in the weeds, there were times, even if I'd been there for a year, if I messed up something and I knew it was never blame the kitchen because then they won't have your back when you actually legit need it. So I didn't blame the kitchen, but what I would do is like, hey, I'm really sorry. It's my first day. I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm doing the best I can. They're like, oh, wow, man, you're doing really good for your first day. It's like, thank you. I really appreciate that. And then sometimes you could blame it on like a glitch and be like, hey, I put it in, but we actually just went back in and found out that we had a computer glitch. And so yours didn't go through to the kitchen. And so I put a rush on it. It'll be here in like 8 minutes. Because every once in a while, when you get real busy for whatever reason, you might forget to put in an order or something like that.
Right.
But it's troubles happen. It's a troubling way.
Well, the good thing is they're getting so much publicity that the publicity would be so bad if they don't get it to her that they'll give it to her.
We shall see.
And she earned it.
I hope so. Now, we go from San Antonio restaurants to New Orleans, where in New Orleans, and of course this would happen in New Orleans, right? But in New Orleans, apparently they had a swingers convention.
Oh!
And after the swingers convention in New Orleans, 41 people that were there tested positive for COVID-19.
Shocking. Now, I got to tell you, man, of those 41, if one dies, do you feel sorry for that person?
See, this is always such a weird conversation because you're basically saying you knew the risks. See, and I gotta
You thumbed your finger at the risk and said, to hell with.
This is like one of those things. I tend to view drug overdoses this way, in a sense, where, it's sad and it's unfortunate.
That's what I'm saying. You're not rooting for it.
Right, but you're kind of like, at some point you have to realize in that lifestyle and the way that you're doing, like you're shooting heroin every day, at some point, like it's going to get you, like it's going to. If you don't kick the habit. Like there's nobody who lives 50 years shooting heroin every day. Oh, I don't know. Maybe Keith Richards.
Maybe. I took my granddaughter to school this morning. One of the things I enjoy about back when I used to take my dude to school before he started driving, is that you can solve so many world's problems on a 10 to 15 minute ride with your kid in the morning. And so today, and there's a point to this, man. I'm asking her about her grades because she's brilliant yet lazy. She goes, I said, your grades back where they're supposed to be? Oh, I got mostly A's and B's. Oh, okay. Well, tell me about the grades that aren't mostly. And this will appeal to Matt. Well, there's a 74 in English. I mean, come on.
Hey, man, C's and D's get degrees.
I'm a writer. You shouldn't have a 74 in English. I mean, come on.
Fair enough.
Let's see Matt's response to this. And I have a 60 in theater.
How do you?
Yeah, dude. I wish I had taken a picture.
No, for real though.
I wish I had taken a picture because that look on your face is the exact one I shot her. Okay, and I said, well, what are you doing? Just show up, you get an A. And she goes,
yeah, that was my immediate thought.
She goes, I keep forgetting to do my monologue.
What?
I go, well, you're not going to forget to do it because you're doing it today. But so the point of that is, when she told me that, we spent the rest of the 8-minute drive to school talking about what we're talking about here, which is, I said, I'm going to tell you the best thing I'm ever going to tell you. What's the two most important things in life? She goes, money? I go, no. I said, that's a good guess, though. I said, the two most important things in life are decisions and consequences. I said, everything in life, everything in your life is about decisions and consequences. I said, all the good stuff is you made good decisions. All the bad stuff, most of the time, you made bad decisions. And so when we talk about the swingers convention in New Orleans, it's like, you can't want some coochie that bad. Or you can't want some wood that bad.
Apparently you do.
I mean, you just can't.
And again, it's not that you want it that bad, because you can have it with your husband or your wife. It's that you want it with somebody else's husband or wife, and you want to watch somebody do it with your husband or wife so bad that you've got to go and bone around and not in an event that's called Naughty Nolans.
Dude, it's okay if that's how you get down. Like, this is the judgment-free zone. If you want to get down like that, get down like that. But it's the same reason. But when it was an option, because I don't think it became not an option, but when it was an option, my dad, the season ticket holder at the 50-yard line for the Buffalo Bills for the last 30 years, had already told him, at my age, football's out for me this year. I'm not going out there.
Oh, no
I don't
doubt.
care if the Bills got a Super Bowl team. I'll be watching it on my big screen at home.
Yeah,
because the risk ain't worth it.
It's so wild to me. And before we get back to this, how do you forget to do your monologue? Like, she just didn't memorize it? Because that's all. Like, you have to memorize it to do it.
I'm going to be honest with you. And maybe I told you this before. I don't know. These are just facts, okay? She's brilliant. She had one of the top 15 scores on the PSAT in Duncanville School District. So this ain't an intelligence thing. She's lazy as sin.
So she's just not memorizing it, and then when she gets called on in class, she can't get up and do it because she doesn't know it.
Yeah, she just said that.
And so she gets a zero or whatever every time. Yeah.
I don't feel like doing it. So that launches into what, Matt? Should I tell you all the things I don't feel like doing? Number one, let's start with taking your ass to school. I mean, like, that ain't on my list of, like...
I'm very familiar with this argument.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand. I don't feel like going to work today, so I need your keys. What do you mean? Well, you don't feel like doing your work. I don't feel like doing mine. I mean, I get it, but I'm going to need your keys because if I don't go to work, I can't pay for your car anymore.
Yeah.
And I just look at my dad and I'm like, damn it. You won that battle. Fine. God, I'll do my work. No, he's like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'll go to work. You can have your car still.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, man, this swingers convention, it's just one of those things like, what in the world? And the guy who organized it says that he thought they did it safely.
You can't do it safely, bro.
They tried to encourage everybody to keep diaries of all interactions and
contact tracing,
so that they could carry out contact tracing if need be and all this. I'm like, what are you doing?
Bro.
You're organizing an event that is designed for people to swap significant others.
And body fluids and everything.
Yes, and I mean, anybody who's ever seen a swingers video, it's not two people in the video. There's always 4 or 6 or 8. It's all these groups of people that like to, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, back in my fantasy days, 3 was a great number. But they're like, 3? That's boring. Who does that?
Yeah, apparently. So again, and this is more of a public service for you guys that are listening. If you are a swinger, we'd love to talk to you.
Oh,
that would be fascinating. So contact us. But if you aren't a swinger, now is probably not the time to first discover that you should go to conventions and take off your clothes and get naked with other people that you might be unfamiliar with.
Bruh.
Now we go from New Orleans to a couple of names. I thought this was interesting and kind of weird because I don't think anybody would know these names, but you know what they created. And that is 2 people that have passed away recently.
Oh, yeah.
One is Alonzo. He went by Lon T. Adams II. He was 95 years old. And I'll be like, who the hell is that guy? Well, that dude is the creator of the formula for Slim Jim beef jerky sticks.
How about that?
You know, remember that? Macho Man Randy Savage? He would be like, step into a Slim Jim. He was a World War II vet. How about this? World War II vet who survived the Battle of the Bulge despite being shot in the head.
Wow.
Now, he created the formula they ended up adopting and used to this day because Slim Jim was first created in 1928.
Was it?
Yes, and after reading this...
You don't want another one?
It's an array of processed beef, chicken meat, other parts from a chicken, along with a range of spices and chemicals.
When they when they say other parts, I was like beaks and feet.
I know,
and then you said chemicals. Well, this makes me feel good because
yikes,
I've probably had a Slim Jim twice in my life. Both times I'm like, the hell?
Yeah, I don't get it. I was never a big Slim Jim fan, but they're super popular.
I can't believe something that nasty so many people like.
It's easy. It's quick. You get them for I don't even know how much they cost anymore. They used to be super cheap. You could grab one at 7-Eleven or wherever.
And then they started coming with like a cheese stick.
Yeah, and then snap into a Slim Jim.
Dude.
Yeah, so he passed away.
I like the other guy better.
And then I thought about that, dude, because my mom's dad... He fought at the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. And I was like, I wonder if somehow, somewhere along the way, they ever crossed paths back in World War II.
Shit, might have.
There's no way to know.
Look at me accidentally.
It's the best. And then also passing away recently at the age of 82 years old, Frank Carney. And again, a name that, who the hell's Frank Carney? Here is who he is. The co-founder of Pizza Hut.
My man.
He and his brother, who was 26 at the time, and he was 19.
Wow.
And a student at Wichita State University. He and his brother borrowed $600 from their mom to start a pizza business, because a landlord at a local beer joint near where his family owned a market had suggested that it would be something worth exploring.
You think?
And they turned that into Pizza Hut.
Unbelievable.
How about that? And so he has passed away, but they sold that to PepsiCo years ago. He made like $400 million on the deal or something like that. And then his brother actually said that by the time he died, he had bought all these other different businesses, and the money that he had originally made from the Pizza Hut deal was spent on other like he was just an entrepreneur, just bought and grew stuff and all that. I don't know if he's the guy that came up with stuffed crust, but
oh, you're a stuffed crust guy?
I mean, if you're going to get Pizza Hut, I feel like you have to get the stuffed crust. Otherwise, what's the point of Pizza Hut?
No, I kind of like it thin and crispy.
Yeah, I like the thin and crispy
More
now.
like a flatbread thing.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
It feels like the stuffed crust because I used to be a thick crust guy. And the stuffed crust, what happens is I feel so bloated after that you can't really move. Whereas thin crust, it's like flatbread or something. And
right,
it's just like I can eat it. I can actually gorge myself on the rare occasion I do.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I can't move because it's not so much bread.
Yeah, because you're getting more of the ingredients. Like
right.
The cheese,
whatever
and the
that is.
vegetables and the meats and whatever versus just eating bread.
Yeah.
Which is
and I don't
nice.
even like a lot of sauce and a lot of cheese on it. I like a minimalist pizza.
Yeah, I like minimal sauce, but I like the supreme. I like all the vegetables and meats and stuff. But if I'm going to do that, I'm with you. I like the thin crust.
And see, the other thing is, to me, the bigger Pizza Hut, it got so greasy because it was doughy and all of that. It was just too much.
Tends to be that way from time to time.
Back when I was a fat guy, I enjoyed that.
Could you eat a whole pizza by yourself?
What size?
Well, not a personal pan, like a large or something.
No, I couldn't eat a large.
Really? I could eat a large by myself. I could eat a medium to this day by myself if I wanted to.
Well, let me rephrase it. Could I eat I don't think I could at one sitting. Could I eat a large thin crust? Probably so. No way in the hell I could eat a large stuffed crust or thick crust or whatever it is.
Yeah, those are, it's a lot to eat, man, but good for him for the Hut, Pizza Hut. And oddly enough, how about this? So he ended up, for whatever reason, the sale, I remember what it was. I was reading the story. When they moved from Wichita to Dallas for their corporate headquarters with Pizza Hut,
right.
It pissed him off that they took it out of Kansas. So he ended up and went to Papa John's and said, give me all of Wichita. I want all the Papa John's, and became one of their most successful franchisees competing against Pizza Hut. The thing he created.
Dude.
Isn't that nuts?
That's wild.
That's very crazy.
That's business for you.
All right, so there it is, a wonderful trip around the block. All right, happy now here on the podcast to welcome in from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. You know him well, Cowboys beat writer it is, and by the way, brought to you by Soda Weight Loss, state of the art, the greatness of Clarence E. Hill Jr. What's going on, Chill?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
What's up, bro?
Man, just trying to, I don't know if this is extended bye week, holiday week. I mean, this is just a long time between Cowboys games, trying to navigate covering these Cowboys. And, actually I was on the Zoom call this morning as they funeralized Marcus Paul with a nice ceremony at the North Colony Church of Christ. And we're going to talk to a few Cowboys later on about that. But it's just been different. I don't know if was the loss is as important, against Washington. I mean, it seemed like it was so long ago now.
Oh no, it feels like long ago. I mean, not just time wise, but with all the drama surrounding Marcus Paul's sudden death and the feelings that brought on from the players and stuff. It seems like it's been a long time. So I think you're right in that thing. Did you think that had, or how much do you think that affected them playing Washington? Because Mike McCarthy was saying he had no idea for like the first time in his career how his team was going to play.
Yeah, I don't really think it had that much to do on the outcome. I think that the play calls and decisions by the coaching staff had a large impact on the outcome. I think the Cowboys played hard for the most part. I think the bottom fell out after that fake punt, that awful fake punt, and they gave up those late touchdowns. But they were in that game and had a chance to win that game. The coaching staff, to me, took it away from them. They didn't put their team in position to win.
What was your take on the way that they handled certain things in that game as far as kind of the fake punt, the mistakes that they made, McCarthy? Because we have to go back, like you guys were just talking about. It does seem like forever ago. I mean, we're recording this. The game was a week ago. By the time they play again next Tuesday, it's almost a 2-week break. So you look back at that Washington game. But what were your thoughts on some of the things that the coaches decided to do in the course of the game?
And what they do better this week?
I just think that and I've said this, you do some on the Star Telegram's website, that the Cowboys are a bad team. They have been a bad team, and they did what bad teams do. They made mistakes from the players and the coaches. I mean, and we can talk about the mistakes the coaches made, but you cannot, absolve CeeDee Lamb from dropping a touchdown pass. The great catch he made last week, he dropped one easy touchdown pass from Andy Dalton that would have potentially changed the game. You cannot overlook the Leighton Vander Esch not getting a block on the interception return, and what should have been a touchdown that didn't end the touchdown from Jalen Smith on the interception return because, again, they couldn't get it done in the red zone. Those red zone things were player related. And then you go to the decision of the coaching staff, and I think that certainly Kellen Moore tries to be too cute at times. I don't know why he needed to call the Philly special down on the goal line. There was some questionable play calling. Certainly the first 4th-down call when you try to throw the ball to CeeDee Lamb, it's like 4th and inches. What happened to the quarterback sneak? What happened to Ezekiel? It wasn't like a long one. It was a 4th and short. I don't get that. And then you get back to the punt, the fake punt on 4th and 10. That just, even if you thought it would have worked, it just, the risk reward just wasn't there. This game was a close game. The Cowboys in this game early in the fourth quarter, and there was no reason to do that at that point. And I guess you felt you needed to jumpstart the team, but the team was right in the game. They were playing with them toe to toe. There was no reason to do it. And certainly Washington, knowing the Cowboys' tendencies and knowing the coach's tendencies, shockingly, they were prepared for it. They changed things. It was funny. The craziest thing to me over the last week is to hear the coaches say, well, if we'd have done it early in the game, it would have worked. But they changed things up. Well, duh. I mean, it's just crazy to me. Oh, we'd have done it early in the game, it would have worked.
What's the best thing you've seen from Mike McCarthy this season?
Oh, my God. I don't know. I
thought it was just me. That's why I asked it like that. So I asked it very positively.
I mean, you can't say, well, he held them together and this, what came together? What has come together? What has been good about what the Cowboys have done? They're 3-8.
I've been profoundly disappointed by Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, and see, the thing about it is, I know Jason's gone, and Jason should have been gone. I mean, I always tell people, just like University of Texas, we can talk about what these coaches have not done since Mac Brown left. But it was time for Mac Brown to leave. Mac Brown wasn't getting it done at the end of his career, okay, at Texas. And he may be rejuvenated. I think he's doing some things differently in North Carolina than he did at the end of Texas. But he was not getting it done. It was time for Mac to leave, even though Charlie Strong and Tom Irvin have not even come close to his success. It was time for Mac to leave. And Jason, the one thing that I can say about Jason is they never quit. They were always in it. You go back to those 8 years. They were still in it at the end of the season. You go back to the year that Jerry Brown died. That team did not quit. They continued to fight. They were in it at the end of the season. Even last year, they were in it at the end of the season. This Cowboys team, they're not in it.
When you look at this with 5 weeks to go, and yeah, it's a weird-ass week with the Tuesday game, and then you got to turn around and immediately play again that Sunday. What do you look for when you're watching these games? What are you hoping to see in these final 5 weeks? Not that they can salvage the season, but is there anything positive to look for?
I don't know where the positivity is. You know, you hope that somehow they can get Zeke going, but I don't know how they can do that with the offensive line in shambles, and Zach Martin may not play again, this season, and so you're not going to get the best there. You hope for continued progress on defense, but you wonder, was it fool's gold? Some of the early, some of the success they had in the Pittsburgh game against the Viking game, because the Redskins, found some, again, gashed them on the ground and have some things. I guess you look at the continued, seem like uptick of Randy Gregory. You hope that Trevon Diggs is able to come back and continue his rookie season, but I don't know what's left to hope, because again, the Baltimore game, they're going to get all their guys back. And that defense was pretty good, shorthanded against Pittsburgh. They're going to get all their guys back. It's on the road. Then you go to Cincy on a short week, and Cincy was very competitive against the Giants, but you would think that they should be able to beat Cincy, but we don't know. And then, the 49ers who, showed that they got a backbone even way out there with some of their injuries, and beating the Rams last week. And certainly, you got the two division foes at the end. But I think Jerry said the most profound thing last week when everybody was talking about tanking is that we don't have to worry about tanking because, why do we have to try to lose? You ain't winning now. Tanking, you're playing guys that try to lose. What's the point of trying to lose? I mean, we're not winning. We're trying and we ain't winning.
And that leads to this. What point do you think they take another look at Garrett Gilbert just to see if he's a cheaper backup option than Andy Dalton? Because Andy Dalton, to me, has looked like what I thought he was. He could be a average to below average starter in the league, and he's a pretty solid backup. But I don't see him being a starter anymore. Nobody's going to pay him to be a starter.
And to me, that answers your question. If nobody's going to pay Andy Dalton to be a starter, then why do we need a younger backup? Why can't they bring Andy Dalton back as the backup?
You know what?
Because there was a thought process that Andy was going to, show some things and get out there and have a chance to compete for a starting job. Or somebody's going, ain't nobody finna give Andy a starting job based on what we've seen. So the idea that Andy was going to be a 1-year rental, he's going to go somewhere else and possibly get a chance to be a starter again, I don't see that. But your point is taken that, at some point you want to see what you have in Garrett Gilbert. But if you're in March and Andy's free and Gilbert's free, who do you want to be your backup? I would still think you would want Andy to be your backup because, next year you're thinking you're not just going to lose, there's no way you're going to lose Dak, both tackles, and your guard, and everything's just going to be blown up. Right. And you would think that a veteran quarterback still with and that's the other thing is that, how would Andy look if Tyron Smith and Leo Collins and Zach Martin are here for the full season?
Yeah,
like an average NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay, but he would still be better than Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci, who Jerry compared to a practice squad receiver.
I didn't even put in Ben DiNucci because he's a non-factor.
Yeah, and especially like if you can get him on a contract like with what you have him this year with the cap going down most likely and all that, you got a veteran, highly experienced quarterback that can back up Dak next year. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see Andy asking for a lot of money or getting a lot of money. He's gonna be at the quarterback minimum. Next year. It might not be too much more than what you'll be paying Garrett Gilbert, but it is what it is. But it's a good conversation to have. I guess let's see what you have in Gilbert, but I see no reason why you don't bring Andy back as the backup, a veteran backup behind your quarterback in Dak Prescott, who's going to be coming off an injury.
When you look at the defensive side of the ball, and Jacques and I have had these conversations.
Do you throw up?
And after you throw up and express your disgust, moving forward when they go into the offseason, is this a defense where you keep Mike Nolan and you've got to change the personnel to fit what he does? Or do you keep the personnel as close as you can? I mean, obviously some guys are going to leave, and you just get rid of Mike Nolan because it's been such a disaster.
I think the biggest problem with this defense, which was the same problem last year, is not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmy and Joe.
Talent.
It's the talent has been an issue. Give me a difference-making player in the secondary. Name me one difference-making player in the secondary. Name me one difference-making player at safety. And that's been an issue. That was an issue last year. So you change the coaches, you change the schemes, and they still have issues. They were last year they were too predictable. This year they're multiple. It's too complicated. The bottom line is the talent has not been there, and you got up front. Certainly you have DeMarcus Lawrence and who is a difference making player, but outside of DeMarcus Lawrence, name me one top echelon player on that defensive line. And then you go back to the linebacking core. We know what Jalen's being paid. We know where Leighton was drafted, but they have not played like those guys.
What about Alden Smith and Randy Gregory? Where do they fit on your list?
I mean,
Randy can smoke now, so he might be straight.
Well, yeah, you like the potential, and you like there, and everybody says he has all these quarterback hits and he's close, and certainly you like to think that another year and you're getting the football back on him, he'll be better. But what's been his best year? His best year was 6 sacks. I love his talent. I'm glad they're giving opportunity, but let's not act like Randy Gregory is going to be DeMarcus Ware or has ever been DeMarcus Ware. One of the things that's going around the internet is everybody comparing his numbers to Robert Quinn's numbers. Robert Quinn has not done well this year, but he's not been better than Robert Quinn was last year.
Right.
No, because Robert Quinn was bagging him last year.
And he got paid.
Alden Smith?
He got paid. And the Cowboys were right, I guess, not to pay him. He went to Chicago and got paid. But he's not been him getting paid. His numbers is not the problem with Chicago. They got a lot of guys competing for numbers and stuff. They got a pretty good defensive line. So I'm not going to put that. They're not. I don't think they're unhappy with Robert Quinn up there in Chicago. They got a pretty good defensive line. But the bottom line is, we can talk about the flashes, but until you've done it, until you become that difference making player, we're still talking about potential. With
your French
Randy
word
Gregory.
for you ain't done a damn thing yet.
He has not done it yet. He's not done it, and you like Alden Smith, but where he's been the last 6 weeks? You like his story, following that Seattle game and those 4 sacks in the first 2 games. I mean, where's that been?
Fair enough. All right, Clarence E. Hill Jr., we appreciate it, man. Thanks for jumping on with us.
And watching his football.
All right.
And watching his bad football.
Yes, watching his bad football. Hopefully we're going to get Urban Meyer and Austin, though. Let's go there.
Yeah,
Urban to Austin.
Let's hope for it, yes.
Urban to Austin.
So there's no way your boy survives? Man,
no way.
He's the $25 million, y'all. The pocket's that deep in a pandemic. We just sick of it.
Yeah, we got oil money. Yeah. Pocket's deep.
Okay. All
right, Chill. Appreciate it.
All right, bro. Guys.
Logan Renfro is a lifelong Cowboys fan who grew up in Fort Worth, and he's created an online art gallery, Blue Dragon Fire and Ice.
Blue Dragon Fire and Ice?
Blue Dragon Fire and Art. Here's what he wants you to know, though. There's a piece of art to fit everybody's budget. Just like my boy Matt says, there's a beer to fit everybody. You just have to find it. Now, Blue Dragon Fine Art is designed to encourage and support collectors or aspiring collectors who are just starting to build their collection. See, Blue Dragon Fine Art also wants to elevate artists of different styles at any stage of their careers who just want a little bit more visibility. Now, I got to tell you this, me and Matt, a couple local guys. So the gallery fits in well with the jam session culture because who doesn't love local? Whether it's restaurants, craft beer, or in this case, fine art. Now, Blue Dragon Fine Art also focuses on local artists, and as the holidays are approaching, why don't you go check out the gallery and find something unique for your home or a gift for a family member or friend that'll help support local artists. Check them out, BlueDragonFineArt.com. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Blue Dragon Fine Art.
I would highly encourage you to do that. We appreciate Logan and his sponsorship here on Jam Session. We also, of course, appreciate all of our sponsors, and I continue to tell you about these because they're so delicious. Jacques agrees. I would say like 90% of you that have gotten them, it feels like have sent me a message about it, but the wings at Kroger are legit. 2 flavors, mango habanero, the buffalo blue cheese. No bread. These are not breaded wings. It's meat. It's flavor.
It's delicious.
They're good, man. They're so damn good. You get them at most North Texas Kroger locations. You can walk into the back at the meat counter and just tell the dude, hey, I want the wings in the window. Throw me in a couple of pounds. I'm not lying. We did 3 pounds, which ended up being about 27 wings. So that kind of gives you an idea when you go in, maybe what you're looking for. And just get them, man. Whatever you want. They have the drums. They have the flats. They're fantastic flavor. Delicious meat. In the section back at the back where they cut your steaks in most North Texas Kroger locations, mango habanero or buffalo blue cheese.
And don't be afraid to do what your boy does. All drums, please.
See, I'll eat the flats, man. I don't mind the flats on wings. But the lady, she prefers to only eat the drums.
Well, see, I mean, it works that way.
And then I think Maddox does too, so what'll end up happening, because I like the drums, but I'm like, whatever, who cares? So I'll eat the flats, and I end up getting more of the flats because that's what they like.
Right.
I'm a nice guy like that.
Yes.
You know, because if I wanted, I could put my foot down and be like, no, wings are drums for me only.
Then your son would be mad at you and there'd be no happy time.
I'd be an ass. And I try not to be an ass as much as possible at home.
Right. And it still happens a lot. So the fact that you don't try is good.
You got to do what you can. So we move forward here, and that takes us to our next conversation, which is around the NFL. And I thought this was an interesting question that you had kind of proposed, because there are 2 organizations that have made it known that they are moving on from their general manager. Jacksonville, which I can't believe the dude was there as long as he was.
Dude.
And Detroit, who had fired their GM and, of course, their head coach, Matt Patricia, and is really hitting the reset button. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised with Detroit if they try and move on from Matt Stafford. Like, he strikes me as the type of guy later in his career that they might be willing to say, look, dude, we couldn't get it done with you. We have legit got to start from the scratch.
I think, whenever you're trying to move on from a quarterback, it's all about, what's a dead cap, man.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it's all about that. What's a dead cap and how much you're going to count, and is it manageable and is it functionable? Functional.
And that's one of those things, because he's got a couple of years left on his deal. They can get out. It would be a $24 million dead cap after this season.
That's still a big one.
That's a lot, but he's got 3 years left on his deal. And you kind of wonder, maybe not after this year, but after 2021, it's a $9.9 million dead cap.
That's a lot more manageable.
And then I wonder if he's tradable. I wonder if there's somebody out there that looks at that, almost like Phillip Rivers and the Colts. And I know he wasn't traded, but the idea that, okay, we can absorb this. We think he's got some time left, and we need a quarterback we can win with now.
How much money is Detroit under the cap right now?
I don't know. I'd have to look that up and see.
It might not even matter, because with the cap going down to 175 or 177 next year, it's not a move they can make. The question is, what do you think about Matt Stafford? Do you think he's good quarterback who in a different scenario could elevate a team? Or is he, okay, I'm just saying this. You know where I'm going with this. Or is he Tony Romo? He's a guy who puts up numbers.
He may be. I do wonder.
And is really good, but will, for whatever reason, will never take you anywhere. And the last thing I'll say about it, before I turn it over to the defendant, is is I'm not sure, and you tell me what you think. I'm not sure it's fair to judge Matt Stafford when he's been in an organization that made Megatron quit and Barry Sanders quit because of ineptitude.
See, and I wonder that too. I wonder if he had gone somewhere because he's 32. He'll be 33 by next season.
He can still play another 4 years.
Right. He's got that left in him. And I wonder if you put him with a better defense and if you put him with a team that can run the ball. When's the last time Detroit had a running back? Barry Sanders?
How much does he count next year?
He is total against the cap is, let's see, 22.6 cap hit next year. So that's not horrible.
See, I had a wild thought, but I don't know how you pull it off. Would you let Dak walk and take Stafford?
See, and I've seen that floated around out there.
See, I hadn't. But you got to trade for Stafford. It's not like they're just giving him away.
Yeah,
but I'm not trading the first round top 10 pick for Stafford.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, what would it cost? You have a quarterback at 24.5 instead of 37.7. You're saving money, you believe,
plus
because he's still under contract.
See, it's not just 37.7.
Right.
It's 140 over 4 years or however you get it done. 5 years. It's really like 177 because he's going to get a 4-year extension or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that, looking at it now, his contract, he for sure has 2 years left. At a next year for 2021, his cap hit would be 34.9. His cap hit this year is 22.6. Next year it's 34.9, then 27.9. And then really that third year they say is a dummy year, a void year. So you could just walk away from it easily, no big deal. But, I don't know. But we bring up Detroit, we bring up Jacksonville, because there is a member of the Cowboys organization that you wonder if these opportunities are finally what it would take to pull him away from the Cowboys and what the Cowboys would do to keep him here. And that is your VP of player personnel, Will McClay.
Yeah, who's coming off a good draft and a bad free agent year.
But is highly regarded in the NFL.
Okay, he's highly regarded in the NFL. Now, I had some thoughts about this. And I've talked to Will about this, not a bunch, but we've had more than one conversation about it over the course of time. And it's always, what would it take for you to leave? Because he's turned down some other opportunities. Now, there's a reason why his title changed every year for about 3 or 4 years.
Right.
Because he was getting interest, leveraged it, got paid, got a new title, whatever. For Will, the job has always been about, you have to go to a place that has a good cap situation, some young talent already on the roster that the coach couldn't figure out how to get, so that you got something to work with, so that you're not starting really from scratch. The cap situation and either trade assets or all your draft picks or some extra draft picks, you know what I'm saying? Like, he liked the Cleveland job a couple years ago. Why?
Makes sense.
They had a bunch of cap space and a bunch of draft picks. All right, so that made sense. Now what most people don't know is that he was working in Jacksonville for a time, or he was scheduled to go work in Jacksonville for a time, and one of his parents got sick, and he's like, I can't take the job. I need to be back here. I need to get back to Dallas. I need to get back to Texas, be close to my parents. So Jacksonville to me is kind of interesting. I haven't done a deep dive on Jacksonville's roster, so I don't know what their cap situation is or their roster. But here's the other thing, Matt. Don't forget, man, what are we all about right now, even though I think it's kind of fraudulent? We're all about Black Lives Matter. We're all about, hey, end the racism and promote minority coaches and this and that.
Yeah.
So there could be a push from the league like, yo, Will McClay down there. He's done a bunch of good things with the Cowboys. He's had a bunch of good drafts. He's this, he's that. Hey, Detroit, Jacksonville, y'all need to look at him closely. Bring him in. But see, here's the deal. I know for a fact Will has turned down interviews before because he's like, man, hey, seriously, I'm not just going to be their token interview.
Right.
And that's something that he decided. Like, he looked at the situation, the lay of the land, and was like, nah, bruh.
See, I think the wonder about that is always because the Cowboys, like you said, there's a reason why his title has changed over the years.
Yeah.
Does it come to a point because of the family with Steven and Jerry and the way they run things that they just wouldn't be able to keep Will anymore? Like, no, we can change your title, we can give you more money, but you're never going to truly have your own ability to run things maybe the way that you want to.
I don't think that at one level, I don't think that matters to Will. Will likes doing what he's doing. Like, who has a bigger say in personnel than Will? Basically nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like he says, hey, I recommend we take this guy, and they go, nah, fam, we good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're like, oh.
Shut up. What do you know?
Yeah. So I think here's the deal. If there's a job out there that he wants, that he says, I can get this job and I can win, then I think he'd take it. Here's the caveat, or here's a rub that we don't talk about. He has one son. Him and his son are very tight. His son, I think, is starting the 9th grade next year. So you can look at it two ways. Now, I don't know about his mom, his son's mom. I have no idea about her. So you can look at it as 9th grade is a clean break. If I'm going to bounce, maybe if I could take him with me, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But if I can't, they ain't but young once, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Why'd you
that's
come
true.
back from Florida?
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
They're only this age once.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you would look at it if you're McClay, not that I know this or anything, but you could theorize perhaps that if he is going into the 9th grade, you've got 4 years, you're with an organization that loves you,
Right.
you like being here. 4 years from now, there's still going to be jobs available. You
Right.
allow him to get out of high school, then he goes to college wherever he wants, then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to go over here and run this thing on my own.
No, I mean, I think that's a legitimate way to look at it. Like, I haven't talked to him about that specifically. I just know him and his son are tight. He enjoys the hell out of being a father and being as involved as he can be given his job. He's not one of them cats that's sleeping in the office all day, never see a kid. Show up on Christmas and birthdays.
We've had this conversation before. We had it on the radio, and it's still one of those things where no matter how many times you try and tell people about the importance of McClay and this hierarchy of how it works with the Cowboys, people still think it's just Jerry comes in and they do whatever he wants, which is just not how it is. And they value, I mean, Will McClay is essentially the general manager of this team. He just doesn't have that title.
Yeah, and the title in and of itself is not that big a deal to him.
Which is why. So then
that's what I'm saying. If you got the money, somebody explained this to me a long time ago. I would tell you who it was, but I can't remember. If you got the money and you're doing the job, then the title don't matter. I mean, it just doesn't.
That's very true.
It matters maybe for your ego, but in the big picture, it doesn't matter. Why? Because you got the money and you're doing the job.
Yeah.
Now, maybe your ego needs to be satisfied to have it on your business card that, oh, I am this. But the reality is they're paying you like you're the man, and they're doing this.
So we will go from Will McClay and those possibilities. And then, of course, yesterday, we're recording this on a Thursday, December 3rd. And so Wednesday, you saw Wednesday football between the Steelers and the Ravens.
Did you watch that game?
No. No, I had some other stuff going on, and by the time that I was done doing it, honestly, I'd forgotten about it until I was done.
It was a Wednesday.
Yeah, it was the middle of the day on a Wednesday, and it was whatever to me. And it was one of those things where, from what I understand, it wasn't a great game as you would expect. The Steelers, the Ravens players seemed kind of pissed that they even had to play. But what's come out of this is this idea with the NFL that they may have to explore the idea of having a playoff bubble.
Now, see, I never heard that, and I didn't read that, but I was driving out to our studios in Las Colinas today.
Very fancy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where we're taping from, our studios in Las Colinas today. And I thought to myself, I don't know why this thought popped in my head, but I was like, oh, they definitely got to do a playoff bubble. They have to. And you know what, man? Check this out. You saying that just triggered a bunch of thoughts. One, if you ain't got no fans at the game for the most part, then it doesn't matter whether you're home or road.
Right.
Because you ain't got no fans there.
Right.
So I'm just throwing this out there. So if you want to pick a team, say Dallas, that ain't in the playoffs, got a great facility, and you want to put one team in downtown Dallas, one team, in Las Colinas, one team in Fort Worth. I mean, we got enough hotels around here. And we got enough high schools that got bubbles and everybody else for you to practice.
Yeah.
If you want to do that and then you pick another city, like maybe LA is the other one because they got a brand new stadium and blah, blah, blah. You can set up a bubble because the worst case scenario, and the NFL has already showed you what they're going to do. We playing regardless. The worst case scenario is you end up in the championship game and COVID rips through the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, then you got a serious problem.
Right.
Yeah, because then, I can't imagine the NFL would do that in the AFC title game, what they did to the Ravens this week, and said, well, it sucks for you. You guys are just going to have to play. We postpone it as long as we can, and I know that you're missing all these dudes, but just get out there and play.
Yeah.
You can do. What if it's the Super Bowl? You can do that for the Super Bowl? No, come on. So I don't know. We'll see. I also wouldn't be surprised if they end up doing, like, I was actually kind of surprised that San Francisco decided on Arizona because they got kicked out of Santa Clara County and couldn't play and all that. And so they're playing their next couple of games in Arizona. I thought they would come here because
I think
Dallas,
they wanted to come. There was some hang up.
I wondered what it was because they play in Dallas in a couple of weeks. Dallas is on the road before that, so it would be available to them on Sundays. And they could have had fans here and figured out a way to be like, all right, Jerry, you can take some, but we'll take the rest because we haven't seen one fan in our stadium all year.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be. It would make sense to me if you said, okay, the AFC bubble is here, the NFC bubble is
almost like hockey.
Yeah, the NFC bubble's in Dallas, the AFC bubble's in Houston. We know the state, you can have fans. So we can actually, some of these teams that haven't been able to have fans all year, hell, Jerry would be like, great, let's do 50,000. We're legally allowed to. Why not get 50,000 in for these playoff games?
Had a vaccine by then.
Right. And then there's enough hotels right in that area. You're close by. You can stay here. You can alter the game so that there's no crossover, whatever. Or, you do a doubleheader NFL game for fans like they do for high school football. You buy this package and you're here for all 3 games. They start at noon. We got another one at 4. We got another one at 8.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
No, I think the playoff bubble's coming, man. I think it is because it's the only way to do your best to keep COVID from interfering with everything else.
We'll see, but an interesting idea, especially with what the Ravens and look.
And the other thing is, ain't nobody traveling right now, so all the hotels are wide open.
That's
for
true.
the most part.
Yeah, all you got to do is book them.
The normal travel is not the case. So yeah, we need 200 rooms here. Done.
You could easily make that happen, especially with the new one. Like I said, what is that?
Hotels Dallas has?
Yeah, well, the one right there by AT&T Stadium that's attached to the ballpark now.
Oh, yeah.
Which I can't remember what it is. Yeah, you have that, and then you have the old Sheraton that's still over there. They could walk to Texas Stadium.
There's enough
Texas Stadium.
legitimate, big time. We're elite athlete. We deserve a certain level of standard. There's more than enough hotels in Dallas who can handle that. You can stick one at the W, one at the Ritz.
Easily.
One at the Omni. That's 3 right there.
So we will move from around the NFL. Before we get into a Cowboys conversation here with you on the podcast, let's tell you about a couple more of our sponsors. Of course, our buddies over at False Idol Brewing. They're the guys that did the Jam Session IPA. And I was told, actually, a friend of mine sent me a picture yesterday.
Yes.
And I'm trying to remember exactly it at the Brass Tap in Prosper. If you are up that far north, if you are in the Salina, maybe North Frisco, Prosper area, the Brass Tap in Prosper has Jam Session on tap right now.
Wow, go up there and get some.
So False Idol Brewing, of course, out there in North Richland Hills. Look for them at your favorite growler bar. They also have cans available for you at the brewery. It's one of my favorite local breweries. They're great guys brewing extraordinarily high-quality beers. Their tap room is super nice out there in North Richland Hills. So support what they do, support local, and get out and support False Idol Brewing. Also, check them out on Instagram. Really, that's the best way because they keep up with their Instagram so you can see new beers that they have coming out and things that they've got going on at the brewery and stuff at False Idol Brewing on Instagram. Also want to give a shout out to Lauren Lattig. She is our Edward Jones financial advisor. Lauren works with small and large businesses to help not only yourself, but your employees' retirement planning, helping to make it easy for everyone involved. So if that's something that you've been working on, trying to figure that out for your business, your employees, give Lauren Lattig a call and she can help you with that to get everyone positioned for success in the long term. Lauren's number? Easy. 972-563-1417. That's 972-563-1417. Edward Jones, financial advisor. Lauren Lattig, of course, Edward Jones, member SPIC. But we move on here, and it is now time to have a conversation about those Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, baby.
Because our buddy from the Dallas Morning News, John Owning, had an interesting article that he had posted earlier this week. And in a season, I thought this was cool because in a season that really is nothing but pieces of poop that you're trying to flush, and you don't want to figure it out ever again.
Wow.
And you know what I'm talking about? The toilet got really badly clogged, and you're just like, oh my God, really?
Right.
Well, John found some bright spots, and I thought this was interesting because I have to say, after looking at these and watching his film breakdowns of everything, I think we have seen, basically, he found 3 Cowboys in a season in which you basically are going to throw this away and it has not been good. 3 Cowboys that have shown improvement in the year of 2020 that I agree with them. I think gives you hope, at least for these guys, moving forward into 2021 next year.
Who would those guys be?
Well, the first guy is Dalton Schultz at the tight end position.
Okay, now let me say this. I owe Dalton Schultz an apology.
Yeah, me and you both, man.
Because I thought, based on my previous 2 years of watching him play, complete, utter spare.
Mm-hmm.
Let me also give a compliment. My man Michael Gelkin of the Dallas Morning News. Oh, he was all over Dalton Schultz.
Really?
Dude, he was writing stories before the season. Dalton Schultz ready to have a big year.
Huh.
And
Well,
he's
he was
still
right.
not what I would want in a blocker. I mean, and maybe he's more good than he is bad, but seems like I always see him, he's getting blown up as a blocker. But I got to tell you, he's proved to be a serviceable tight end. And I'm going to say this. We will probably be surprised. It's all relative, though, okay? We'll probably be surprised by what he gets as a free agent.
We might. 44 catches this year, which is third on the team, 9.8 yards per reception.
Dude,
for a tight end.
That's solid.
Nothing wrong with that.
Because again, what is he? The 4th option or the 5th option?
Yeah, I would imagine. And I have to say, I don't know, after Dak went down, even if Blake Jarwin had been here, I don't know what type of a season Jarwin would be having without Dak. Obviously, I think everybody would agree that we were excited about what Jarwin would probably have shown this year.
I think.
No way to know, obviously, because he didn't play. He got hurt. But Dalton Schultz, in his stead as the main receiving tight end, I think has done
he's done good.
A solid job.
Because he's got 44 catches, still 5 games left.
Right.
I mean, would you be shocked if he had 60 catches? No.
No, not at all. That'd be essentially 3 more catches a game.
600 yards?
Yeah.
And, 4 touchdowns?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That for this offense, for what that is, for him coming in and doing that when nobody. Because I was with you, I thought he was like, "Oh, great, this is a waste of a player," but we were wrong. Sorry, Dalton.
The only difference to me is instead of 9.8, Blake Jarwin's probably averaging 11.8.
Right,
and he's probably got. If Dalton's got 3 touchdowns, Blake's probably got 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think Jarwin would definitely stretch it a little bit more.
He's just a more explosive player.
Right.
Although we could have a good argument about where does Blake Jarwin do his work? Down the seam. Where does CeeDee Lamb do his work? Down the seam. So I wonder if they would have taken a little bit from each other because they both kind of do that.
Could be. We'll never know. Maybe next year we will.
Yeah, hopefully.
So his other player outside of Dalton Schultz, and I know a lot of you are like, what the hell? Come on. But honestly, if you look at it, the lone bright spot on the offensive line this year that has been solid now and at least consistent and has shown improvement from his first couple of years in the league, that left guard, Connor Williams.
No, he's not. But here's the deal. Has Connor Williams shown improvement? Yes, he has. That's because it's the skinniest fat guy argument.
Well, it could be.
No, it is. No.
Because you look at what he's surrounded by.
Yeah, but no, I mean, he wasn't that good the first 2 years. So, yeah, you can show improvement. My granddaughter, she got a 60 in theater.
Which is unbelievably, unbelievable.
But if she had a 70.
Theater.
Yes, you've shown improvement, but you still suck.
Right.
When it comes to theater. So, here's the thing about Connor Williams. And did you see he put up something on Twitter yesterday about vote for me for the Pro Bowl?
Connor Williams did?
Dude, you can't make this up.
Okay, look, now when I say improve, when I say I don't view him as a Pro Bowl caliber player. I view him as an average left guard, which means he's going to get beat sometimes. But along the most NFL lines, I think you can put him out there and he's okay. He's not great. He's not a Pro Bowler.
Now, do you have a peanut butter stout in your refrigerator?
I don't think I do have a peanut butter stout. I have a cinnamon roll stout.
Asshole. So
that was random. Why is talking about Connor Williams remind you of that?
So
he just wants to drink. Oh my God, what have I done?
what have you done? No, I think you hit it right on the nose. Connor Williams is an average left guard, and there's nothing wrong with an average left guard.
Right.
Nothing.
Yes.
No, I'm serious. There's nothing wrong with an average left guard except you drafted him in the second round. You didn't expect him to be an average left guard. Now, you've gotten however many starts you've gotten out of him. And if I told you, hey, Matt, we're going to draft player X in the second round, and he's going to start, 48 games in 4 years for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about at the end of his first 4-year deal. You'd be 700 going.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
So Connor Williams, he will not. I'd be shocked if he signed a second deal with the Cowboys. But if my boy Jo says he's improved, he has. But it's whatever.
Yeah, and his basic thing is pretty much kind of what you just said, is that his improvement, when you look at his first 2 years from where he is this year, is at least somebody that you can put out on the field and you don't feel like it's a colossal hole in your line like it has been the first 2 seasons that he had, where you're just like, oh my God, you can't use this guy.
Right.
But
he's no Terrence Steele.
No, he's no Terrence Steele. That's very true. But Connor Williams, Dalton Schultz, and then he also threw out the name, and again, these are the 3 guys who have improved, according to John Owning and his film studies. Antoine Woods, the nose tackle in the middle of the defensive line, who, and he really points out, he said, outside of Neville Gallimore's performance against Pittsburgh, Woods is the only defensive tackle who's been able to do anything worth the crap this year since Tristan Hill got hurt.
I also classify that as the skinniest fat guy.
And it probably
And Antoine Woods is back when I could go in the locker room. I liked Antoine. I like Antoine Woods. I like him. He's a good dude. He's he's a try hard, play hard, give you what he got guy. It'd be interesting to see what they do with him, because he's the kind of guy. Here's the thing. He's the kind of guy every kind of like good team needs. He don't need to be starting. He needs to be your 4th defensive tackle or something like that. But the problem is, and here's the problem, man. I just said it. I think he has a higher opinion of himself than most of the league will have. That being said, he switched agents last year, and he's with Drew Rosenhaus, who's got more clients than anybody in the NFL.
God, Woods is a Rosenhaus client?
Who has more relationships than anybody in the NFL. And if somebody can get him relatively paid, and relatively paid for Antoine Williams is like $3 million a year. Can you give me $3 million a year? Because he's been making $500 and $600. So
Right.
Can you give me 3 years, $10 million, $2 million up front? Ha! I'm running to the bank, baby. To the bank, I'm gone. If you can get that for me.
Yeah, it's interesting now. John Owning will tell you that Woods has proven a capable run defender in multiple schemes, making the most of his opportunities given his skill set this season, earning the right to be retained by the Cowboys in restricted free agency next season.
Restricted free agency, they might do that. They might pay him enough to put a second round tender on him, and that'll get him a $1 million deal or something.
Dang, that would work, because if somebody wants to come and get him and you get a second round, works for me.
Or whatever it's probably higher than that.
To his point, he kind of points out the idea that when Poe was starting in the middle in the first 7 weeks of the season, how poor the Cowboys' run defense was. Now, it's not great by any means, but it has actually gotten better since Woods took over once they let Poe go.
Well, at least Woods going to give you what he got.
Right. I mean, Poe was just a complete waste of time.
Dude.
Which is why he's, I believe, still just sitting on the street, and who knows when he'll get another opportunity.
His career is probably over.
It very well might be, especially at his age.
If you saw that tape that he put out there for the Cowboys, why would you ever sign? No, I'm serious.
I know.
Why would you ever sign?
That's what's so weird, is you wonder about a guy like that. Maybe he just thought, I can live off my reputation and it's fine. But, if you wanted to keep playing, that wasn't the way to go about doing it, especially for a guy who will be 31 before the season starts next year.
Let me tell you something, man. Sometimes, you've heard this on boxing a lot. The mind is willing, but the body's unable.
Very true.
And then sometimes you get out there and you go, damn, this is hard. I mean, sometimes it's like lifting weights, man. You just get up under it. You're just like, it's not happening today.
It's very true.
And as a football player, that's game day. And you just go, or you get up under it. I did that this morning, man. I got ready to, I was doing some bench, and it wasn't overly heavy, but I said, That thing didn't move at all.
It happens to the best of us.
So I went and looked. I was like, okay, I know I can lift this. Okay, let me refocus. But, dude, you get a certain age in the NFL, you can't refocus. You're done.
And he very well may be. But those are the three that, at least to John owning, stick out. I will agree with him on Dalton Schultz for sure. That is a way much of an improved player from where I thought he was in what he's been able to do this year for the Cowboys.
And let's give a shout out to John's mom who had ankle surgery. Hope she's feeling better. And that's why he didn't join us this week. He's not a loser.
No, he's not at all. He'll be back with us next week. We'll talk to him maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, since the Cowboys play on Tuesday. We'll have to figure out how to do that next week with the weird-ass Cowboys schedule. So as we continue here on the Jam Session podcast, we'll go from our Cowboys conversation into the world of the NBA. And, of course, we led off this episode talking about Luka and LeBron and all that Christmas Day. But, you know, the NBA, which is coming up December 22nd is when the season opens, believe it or not. And, man, it is a wild, even now. I mean, today we wake, or I guess you went to bed last night and you already knew about this, but the monster trade that Houston makes with Washington. Houston, the Russell Westbrook experience with James Harden, the experiment they had there, it didn't work. And so they have broken that duo up. Russell Westbrook going east to Washington in exchange for John Wall coming to Houston.
Dude, you know the thing about it, man? Like, I don't know if John Wall can still play at the level we remember. I know Russell Westbrook can, but the question is, does he make your team any better? Is he just putting up his numbers, and is he happy with his triple-double? I see your answer is no. Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavs, his answer is probably also no. But, dude, I'm always struck by this, man. Many, many years ago, my boy was playing Madden, and I was watching him play, and he had a season going or whatever, and we were about to play, and he's finishing up a game, and I said, how did Jerry Rice get to your team? He said, what you mean? I traded for him. I said, dude, you can't trade for Jerry Rice. What are you doing? No, I traded. It's fair, man. I said, man, you full of poop. I used another word. Blah, da, 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 da. Fast forward 25 years. If you're playing NBA 2K and I'm watching you play, you could have anybody on your team, Matt, and I'd be like, hey, how'd you get him? Well, I traded for him. And I'd be like, okay, I can see that working. In the NBA, anybody and everybody can be dealt for the right price in the right circumstance. Even if you say, hey, Matt, I'm Jacques Taylor, baby. I don't want to be here no more. You need to work out a sign and trade, baby. Or I'm just going to bounce.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not signing with you. So do what you need to do. But it's amazing to me, man. Paul George, Russell Westbrook twice, Chris Paul, everybody in the NBA can be had, it seems. Shaq got traded, man. Shaq got traded.
Everybody can be traded. And I think when you look at this, man, when you look at this deal, John Wall, Russell Westbrook. Now, look, let's keep in mind that John Wall hasn't played in almost 2 seasons because of a torn Achilles.
Been that long?
Yeah, just about.
So I can't. Well, go ahead.
So, like I was going to say, I mean, who knows exactly nobody, when you come back from that, nobody knows. An Achilles, nobody knows. How good will you be? How long will it take you to get back to where you were? Can you ever get back to that level?
Well, what level can you get to?
Right. And you can read the reports. I mean, it's out there that he's looked really good in off-season workouts and all this. Okay. But how long is it going to take you to adjust to NBA playing? And can you play at that level? Now, the flip side of this is it just seems like Westbrook and Harden at times worked together, at times didn't. John Wall and Bradley Beal, apparently, you read about them. They didn't particularly care for playing with each other. Is Bradley Beal going to like playing with Russell Westbrook better? Is James Harden going to like playing with John Wall better?
Right.
Who knows? But this is one of those weird trades where it just felt like at this point, neither one of these teams wanted either one of these guys anymore. Neither player wanted to be in their situation. Their contracts make it almost impossible for them to be traded anywhere except for each other.
Right.
So it almost feels like, okay, look, let's change the scenery and see if we can each hit on something because it didn't work in here. We'll take your piece that's not working for you. You take our piece. They're both high-level players. Maybe it'll work out better in their new situation.
No, I think you've got something there. The thing about John Wall is apparently he's been working out in Houston with Harden or wherever they work out, and Harden has seen him. They've been playing these pickup games together. So at least Harden has seen him and has an idea of what he can do. And, in today's NBA with load management, it's all about, okay, I can go twice this week, but not 3 times,
right.
And on those nights, James, you can take 45 shots. So it'll probably be something like that. It's interesting because, the talk was James Harden wanted out. Like, I want to go to Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie. And apparently the ownership at Houston was like, nah, bruh, not happening. So if you don't want Westbrook, okay, fine. We'll see what we can do. We'll bring you somebody in, but you're not leaving. I don't know how many years he's got left on his deal, but I don't know that he's in a position yet to force his way out.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, like, you'd almost have to go Antonio Brown crazy and make it miserable for everybody. And then when you have deal, like we were just talking about with Westbrook and Wall, it's not like you can just trade them to anybody for whatever. I mean, you've got to balance it out somewhere along the way. How many teams are able to do that for a guy like a Harden? It'll be interesting to see if this works. But, to your point, the NBA is still that league that it's become more and more, and I don't know that it ever goes back to where it is about the player and not about the team as much. And it's not like that. Baseball, they move around a little bit, but not nearly as much as they do here. I mean, for the most part, obviously, like the A's or somebody like that, one of the poorer franchises that doesn't spend a lot in payroll, stars will move on from that.
Right.
But a lot of the times in baseball, I mean, I guarantee you, like, if the Rangers were going to be competitive and knew that they were going to be at a certain level, they'd do whatever it took to keep Joey Gallo in Texas, and he'd probably stay.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just not like that in the NBA where guys hop around. Harden wanting to go play with KD and Kyrie. I want to go play with those guys. Make it happen, whatever. And the NBA is so much more about the player than it is about the team, which I think as a fan, that's a fear that I have as much as I love Luka. And we mentioned this when we were talking about this earlier. Tim McMahon, ESPN NBA insider Tim McMahon has told us this. He is not Dirk. Dirk is so rare of a guy that was willing to take less money just because he wanted to stay with the Mavs. And I do have that concern of what if they can't, and they'll look, we know Mark Cuban and the Mavs will do whatever the hell they can to make Luka happy and to pursue everybody around here. But if it doesn't happen for whatever reason, there is that outside fear that, great, now he'll be whoever it is and point at some other team, be like, I want to go play with those guys.
Yeah, I could see that. And I don't have a fear of that for Luka, because I think they'll be successful in putting a good team around him.
I do as well.
And I think the ownership, it won't be like, some places where, like, I don't think Cuban would let a contentious situation arise and all that other stuff. So I think they'll be able to maintain a relationship and do all that. I would have this part would bother me, or this part would create some trepidation for me. It's the part where you say, here's a guy who's been in Barcelona and has seen the world. Dallas, as great as we think Dallas is, it ain't big enough for him.
Yeah.
It's not New York. It's not L.A. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that, to me, like, Miami wouldn't bother me because, it's, to me, they're kind of a little bit comparable. But he might look at Miami and be like, no, it's a little more European there. It's a little more tropical there, blah, blah, blah. So the city, I mean, there's only a few cities I would say you might say are better than Dallas. But I'm not going to sit up here and argue with you if you want to say, oh, I'm rich, I've got multiple millions, I'd like to live in L.A., New York, and Miami or something like that.
Right, which we see, sure. And I do think
that would shook me up a little bit.
I think the greatest fear ever for an NBA fan is what Milwaukee is going through with Giannis right now. That you discovered this dude, you home grew him, he's homegrown Milwaukee Buck. A fan base that has, I mean, who are we talking about in the history of Milwaukee? Ray Allen, who was there early on, Big Dog Robinson. I mean, Sidney Moncrief. Who are we talking about? Obviously Kareem, but then he went to L.A.
Okay, Oscar Robertson.
Right, but that's how long ago we're talking about this, right? So now you're a Milwaukee guy, and you're coming up, you're like, we got him. We finally got the guy who's an MVP caliber player who can play all over the place. How do we keep him? And you're seeing what the Bucks are doing. Like, whatever Giannis, like, let's, whatever we need to do, like, we'll do anything we need, trade whoever we want, sign whoever we want, with the god-awful fear that if you make the wrong move, he looks at it and goes, nah, I'm not going to sign the Supermax. I'm going to see what's out there. I'm probably leaving. And then as a fan, you look at that and go, is it ever going to happen again? I mean, we're talking about Milwaukee. And that's what my point was, throwing out some of those names. When was the last time they had a Giannis? Oscar Robinson is probably, or Kareem, or whomever. You want to go way back. I don't know. Now, we had Dirk, and we think that we're the Colts, that we just transitioned from Peyton Manning into Andrew Luck.
Right.
And we believe that, and I think it's going to be the case for a while. But there is a fear in today's NBA that, and my hope is that he loves Dallas so much, and it's a worldly enough place for him that this becomes a place where guys point and say, like Giannis, who goes, nah, I'm out of Milwaukee. I want to go to Dallas and play with him.
I mean, that's the best case scenario.
Instead of vice versa, which is what it feels like. Dallas has gotten bypassed for forever from the big name stars. Anybody who's followed the Mavs over time knows this. We always hear the rumors every offseason, this guy want to come play here, and then it never happens. Oh, we're saving our money for this dude next summer. Dallas is great, and then it never happens. And we finally have that guy, and it's hard to get over that until you see it. But the NBA, man.
You got scars, baby.
Dude, who doesn't? Because to your point, unless you are Los Angeles and maybe Miami and some of these markets you've pointed out, what NBA franchise keeps guys?
Well, you're right. Look at, who did we just talk about? We talked about LeBron James, who left Cleveland. Why? I want to go win. I'm going to go play in a better city.
Right.
Even though I grew up in Cleveland. Anthony Davis. I'm drafted by the Pelicans or whatever they are.
Yeah, New Orleans.
And nah, man, I like L.A.
Yeah, he's like, I'm out. And he just signed a 5-year, $190 million deal to stay in L.A. But once LeBron leaves and that's done, maybe he looks at L.A. and goes, cool, I did 6-7 years here. Let's see what else is on. I want to go somewhere. And we've seen it. Utah's a great example of this. I mean, Karl Malone and John Stockton, that was yesteryear's NBA. In today's NBA, guess what happens? Well, Gordon Hayward says, I'm out. Now, maybe Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are going to stick around, but Gobert, I think, is a free agent next year. I bet he's out of Utah. And that's the thing is, like, you get these guys and you hope you can get 5 to 7 great years out of them. But the Dirks of the world, even the Kobes of the world. Now, Kobe did it because he was in L.A. from the beginning. Right. Well, when Charlotte traded him on draft day.
It's only a few guys, man. But, the other thing is, like you said, nobody would turn down the Supermax. So they'd have to keep him. I mean, that's why the NBA did all this stuff. But the other problem is, do you want to? $250 million is cool. I got no problem with that. I'm straight with that. But damn, Matt's my boy. We always talked about it when we was playing AAU ball, playing together. I think I'm good making $210 million and going to hang out with my boy.
Pretty much.
Because what can you buy with $210 million? I mean, we're not talking about $15 million to $200 million. We're talking, like I said, $200 million to $225 million. What can I not get with one that I can't get with? So I'm going to go hang out with my boy. Yeah, that's what the NBA is.
That's what it is. That's definitely what it has become in the times in which we find ourselves. All right, as we continue here, and I know some of you will be watching the video of this, and many of you will be, of course, listening on the podcast. It is time for our weekly Just the Sip. Not the whole thing. We wouldn't do that to you. We're just going to give you the sip. So this is Just the Sip here. And we've got 3 beers brought to you by our friends out at Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. Beer Geek Shop is right there on the square in downtown Rockwall. It's a local family-owned establishment. Jason and Deidre will get you taken care of. We've been telling you a little bit about the Jam Session 6-pack that they have. 6 beers for $22.50. It is a phenomenal deal. An absolutely phenomenal deal for 6 craft beers. Hand-selected by us, by the way. We picked them out. They're very good. They've got a lot of holiday season beers. We're actually going to try one of those today. And everything in the store is available in singles.
I can't tell you what a big deal that is.
I was going to say.
Not 4s, not 6s. Singles. Because I went to a few spots out and about the other day, and I just left everything there because I was like, that sounds interesting, but what if I don't like it? I want 4 or 5 beers I don't like.
Yeah, and that's the thing is at Beer Geek Shop, you can go in there, you can try a couple if that's all you want to do. Everything in singles. It's a fantastic place. Over 400 craft beers at Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. So swing by and support those guys as they support us. Love what they're doing out there. I actually picked up a couple of extra beers yesterday when I was out there.
You tried to pick some up for me.
I did. And perhaps
I appreciate that effort.
Perhaps next time I will get some more for you. But let's get this rolling here. So our first beer that we're going to crack open today, I was trying to decide between these two, and I think we're going to start it off because this is a holiday type beer, a Christmas type beer.
Dude,
the
can is insane.
From Rar & Sons Brewing Company, the Angry Santa. And it tells you there, spiced ale. And on the back of the can, for those wondering, it tells you what's in it. It's an ale brewed with mulling spices. You're going to get vanilla, cinnamon, honey, fresh gingerbread. It's rich and malty. And this is an interesting beer, like those Christmas beers, and there's several of them that are out there in the world today. Obviously, there's this one. We're going to do one again next week.
Kind of an amber color, eh?
Yeah. All these Christmas ales tend to be, and they tend to be, there's a difference because you'll see some, like there's a Christmas cookie ale that's out there that Hop and Sting has done, but this one is from Rar & Sons. It's been around for a while, the Angry Santa.
Why you give me more than you? This is rare.
Well, because I've had this many times.
Have you?
Yes. And so I haven't had the 2020 version, so I'm going to give this just the sip and see what I think of. Yeah, and so you get on the nose, you get all the stuff I told you about. It's very, very spiced.
Yeah, it smells super duper spicy.
I'm going to tell you in the past, I've had this before where it was too spicy, where I was like, golly, like, whoa, that's a lot. That is a lot on your palate. And
that is a lot on your That's a lot of moving. Now, y'all know Rar & Sons is like probably my favorite lager makers. This thing right here got a lot of moving parts, baby.
See, to me, it's
there's a lot of flavor though, and y'all know I usually like that. It's a little bitter.
It's a lot. This is like it is, and it tells you fresh gingerbread, and you get a lot of that gingerbread type, those allspice type Christmassy spice flavors.
Ain't no subtlety to this one.
No,
bro.
not at all. I mean, and this would be a sipper. That's why on just a sip, like you could pour this, you can have a sip. It's almost like a dessert because it is very gingerbread cookie-ish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, and that's the thing with me is that I get so much gingerbread and cinnamon out of this that I don't get a lot of the vanilla or honey. It's just, to me, really super gingerbread.
I would say it's overpowering on that, man.
Yeah, so there you go. And who knows, maybe we're drinking what comes from Santa down the chimney.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know.
The can is off the chain, though. I got to tell you.
It is cool. And it is definitely like there's a variety of Christmas-style beers that are out there, and this would fit into that category.
Dude, it's got a super-duper gingerbread finish. I'm still getting it, man.
Yeah, and I would definitely encourage you guys to check this out because it is only, obviously, it's a seasonal annual release. So there you have that. So we will move on from that, and we will go to our next brewski here, which I think you're going to like a lot, actually. I am a big fan of Three Nations. Three Nations is in Carrollton. I'm good friends with one of the owners and the head brewer there, Gavin Secchi. And Gavin has...
This is their beer?
Yeah, this is... Gavin started a side project, essentially, that is brewed out of Three Nations. The name of this is Symbol Brewing.
So this is kind of like when Michael Jackson left the Jackson 5.
Well, he's still there.
And then he come back every now and then to make a record with the Jackson 5, but he's like, I want to do a solo project.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's really a way for him to kind of explore his creative side and to do some things that don't necessarily fit under the Three Nations umbrella.
Like we want ours right here, and you like, I want to just dabble over there.
It could be. And I mean, he owns the whole thing, so like he can kind of do whatever he wants, but I think it was just a way of let's put it out under a different label, and it's a really cool can. It really pops. And this is his pecan porter.
Yeah.
With peanut butter, banana, chocolate, and coffee.
See, I had no idea. I asked you about a peanut butter stout. Now, this is a porter, not a stout, which means it'll be just a little thin.
And I will tell you this.
As opposed to a stout, which got a little thicker mouth.
I had this. He gave me some of this a couple of weeks ago, right after he had brewed it, and I ran into him.
You didn't even bring me none then?
Well, I mean, I was at the brewery, and he was there. He's like, you want to try this? I was like, hell yeah, I do.
Fresh off the tap?
Pretty much. And so... I think you're going to really like this. This is a fantastic porter. The base is their pecan porter that he uses, obviously, as it's said.
Woo!
And
boy,
the chocolate, the peanut butter,
like
the
off
roast.
The chain, right? Give me that can.
God, it's good.
That smell right there.
Yes.
Wow.
And
I hope it tastes that good because it smells fantastic.
Again, this is the Symbol Brewing.
I'm sorry, the nose is fantastic.
The Symbol Brewing pecan porter, chocolate, peanut butter, coffee, banana. So give this, you're going to like this a lot. Trust me. I think this beer is fantastic. I've had it.
Matt being skimpy on the pours today. What's up with that?
All right. So give it a sip.
Man, it smells fantastic.
You get it all.
Can I tell y'all something? It smells so good. I don't even want to drink it because what if it's not that good? I could just live with the smell.
But you get the chocolate, you get the banana, and you really get the roast of the coffee that comes through in it. I think it's fantastic.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
That's incredible. And it's not super thick. It's not super heavy. Shock took the can away. He wants the can just for himself.
I don't want Matt to drink all of that. He's got a business meeting.
This
is fantastic.
That is a phenomenal
the
porter.
best porter I've ever had.
I mean,
because most of the time, porter's like a little skinny chick when you're like a woman with a few more curves to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, she's cool. She's cool. You got no problem with it. You're not kicking out of bed.
Good.
This is flavorful, man.
Yeah,
wow.
It is. And you don't wish it was a stout. You like it exactly how it is. I mean, this is an absolutely phenomenal beer. Nailed this.
Damn. Oops.
Damn's not cussing.
Okay.
Although somebody told me it was once. I was like, really? Interesting.
Man. Gavin, you a bad 12-letter cuss word, boy.
I'm telling you, man. Symbol Brewing Company. Symbol brewing out of Three Nations in Carrollton. Yeah.
What's in this again?
It is pecan. Pecan porter is really the base build of it with chocolate, banana, and coffee. And peanut butter. Chocolate, banana, peanut butter, and coffee.
Because I tasted the coffee at the end and I go, am I tasting coffee?
No, yeah, you are, man. It's good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's one that you could easily drink the entire can and another one. Grab that can again. I didn't see what the ABV is on this.
Oh, I'll tell you.
What is it then?
It's 7.8.
No, come on. Let's see. It won't be that high. I guarantee. See, that's what I like about this is it's got so much flavor in it.
Don't touch it. I need you to touch
He's being so selfish. It's got to be on there.
6.7.
Yeah, 6.7. I mean,
I told you it was close.
Dude, that is just an easy drinking, fantastic.
Okay, you taste the other
porter.
one, and we'll tell other people about it.
Okay, yeah, because the other one's right up my alley.
Wow. I'm sorry, your lady friend's probably getting mad at me.
No, not at all. She loves it. She likes this beer as well. She thinks it's fantastic. Yeah, they had this at the Three Nations anniversary party a couple of weekends ago, and that's when they kind of debuted some of the Symbol beers. But he's been doing some really cool stuff with the Symbol Brewing label. And so anything you see, and you guys that are seeing the video of this, it's the can pops, you see it, you'll find it around. Beer Geeks has, I think, pretty much everything that Symbol Brewing has put out. And right now, I believe it's 6 beers in a can. So if you wanted to, you could go to Beer Geeks and get all 6 Symbol beers in a 6-pack by itself because you're available in singles at Beer Geeks.
That's one. That would probably be in the. I'm revamping the top 10.
That might be number 1.
Well, what I've decided to do is I've decided to come out with a top 10 stouts and porters because they're kind of in the same family,
right?
And then a top 10 others because I like stouts and that's what I drink most of it, enjoy. But there's some other stuff on the other tip that's also very good, whether it's Goses or
Fair enough, man. Sure. I like it. Look at you. It's great. Yeah, and so Three Nations, where Symbol Brewing is brewing out of, we are actually setting up a event to be able to have there in downtown Carrollton, and we'll let you guys know. Hopefully here in the next week or two before Christmas, we're going to do a live podcast at Three Nations and have you guys come out. Gavin will sit down with us and talk about the beers, about Three Nations, what he's doing with them, what they're doing with Symbol and all that. And we will let you know as soon as that happens, most likely on a Thursday evening during happy hour time. But next up here on Just a Sip, again, brought to you by our friends at Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. I think we've done a couple of these before, but this is really what started the haze craze in the North Texas area is the Tups DDH IPA. And it looks like this. There's a gazillion of them now. This is Series 26, which just came out. And Tups, of course, is located in McKinney, a fantastic place, really kick-ass brewery and tap room out there. And so this one, as you can see, for those looking at the video, for those on the podcast, this is just 2 hops in this. So it's a double dry hopped IPA. It's hazy, and the hops they used are Citra and Ella. Now, Citra is like a peach, passion fruit, kind of fruity hop, and Ella is a very floral, almost like on the backside, you're going to get a little spice in this. I had one of these just last night because I love the DDH series by Tups, and I thought this was fantastic. Now, I don't have another glass because I thought you were just going to be able to finish those. Oh, you may have to pound one or pour it back in the can or something. I don't know. And then just rinse it out because I thought that would be okay. I'm trying to see. Yeah, it should be all right.
Okay, so I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. So he's going to go and flush out his glass so that he can get a high-quality pour here, and I'm actually going to go just the sip again on the DDH IPA Series 26, and you'll see all of these. They really started, Series 3 for me was the beer that I thought Tupps absolutely nailed, that became just like, oh my God, have you had the Series 3 from Tupps? And then from there, they just kind of expanded, and the whole thing with this type of, the series that they do is every beer has a different hop build. And so like this one, as I mentioned, has Citra and Ella, maybe one has Mosaic Galaxy or whatever. They always use different hops in each one. And they're not always 50-50. Sometimes it's 4 hops. Sometimes it's 3. But
Smells good.
I love this beer. I had it for the
citrusy.
first time last night, and I thought it was fantastic. But Citra and Ella go so well together. So give yourself just the sip on this. That's that's a good hazy IPA. And those hops work so well together, because you get a little fruity, but then on the very back, because of the Ella, you get a little bit of that spicy that I'm talking about. And I don't mean heat. I just mean like a floral spiciness almost.
Now, I don't know nothing about no floral spices. That's pretty good, though.
Mm-hmm. It's very flavorful. Tupps nails these, man.
No, they did a good job with that.
Yeah, if you like that, then you should look for some of the other series that are still around.
That's pretty good. You want me to tell you my problem, man?
Yes.
Because that's pretty good. I'm not lying to you.
It's a damn good beer.
My problem is I limit myself to, I had this conversation yesterday. I was limiting myself to 1 beer a week because beers just got way too many calories and way too many carbs.
Work out enough, whatever. Come on.
Nah. And I got enough bad habits. I don't really need to start another one. And the problem is it's like restaurants. Like, okay, we can only afford to go out once this month or twice this month. So sometimes if you're not careful, what do you end up doing? You go to the same place because you go, well, we're only going out twice.
Yeah.
The the tacos here are fantastic.
That's true.
We only get them once a month, so let's go here. Well, why don't we try this other place over here?
Right.
And you go, that's probably good, but I know this is good. Or you go to a restaurant and you go, man, they got so much good stuff, but the ribeye is fantastic. I don't want to try this, the pork chop, the chicken, or anything else.
That's the way it goes.
And my problem is, I like stout so much. I only drink 1 a week. And I'm like, I don't want to give up a stout for something else because I won't get to drink it.
Yeah.
It's a sad existence.
No, I can understand
Matter
that.
of fact, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell you what this man, I almost cussed him out. I almost called him a fucker. Let me tell you what he's done to me. Oh.
You did call me one.
Let me tell you what he's done to me. I have so much beer at my house now that I don't drink. You know why? I collect beer and I'm like, I want it for when I want it, but I don't know when I want it. But when I want it, it'll be good.
Yeah, there you go. And with
it's
stouts,
a sickness.
With stouts that, you can age them and they last for forever. If you're going to do beers like this type of beer, you want to drink as fresh as possible. The hazy IPAs like that, it's really with the hop profile and the way it's built is designed to be fresh.
Right.
But with stouts and stuff and porters, you can drink them whenever the hell. You can drink them a year later.
I almost bought a St. Arnold's Pumpkinator.
Fancy. You should have. And then we could have done a vertical and tried side by side.
Matt's got one like, it's 27 years old. And I was like, St. Arnold's is a big time brewery out of Houston, right?
Yeah, very well.
Matt, he's got
Look at
some
this.
dad tears over here.
I do.
Then I almost bought it. It was $7.99. I almost bought it. But I was like, who would I share this with?
See, that'd be interesting because you could get that cold and then I'll put mine and cool it down. And then that way we could try them side by side and see the differences between the years.
All right. Well, I got to run out that way sometime in the next week.
All right. So make that happen.
I'll go see if they still got it when I go out there.
So that, my friends, is just the sip. Again, we had the Raw & Sons Angry Santa Spiced Ale for Christmas. We had the absolutely phenomenal
I would marry this beer.
The Symbol Brewing Pecan Porter with chocolate, peanut butter, banana, and coffee, which is phenomenal. And then, of course, another fantastic selection from Tupps Brewing up in McKinney, the Double Dry Hopped IPA Series 26 with Ella and Citra hops. And thanks to, again, our friends, all these beers available for you at Beer Geeks Shop in downtown Rockwall. Get out and support them. You can order online. You can see their inventory online at beergeekshop.com. And, of course, that Jam Session 6-pack, 6 beers that Jacques and I have handpicked for $22.50, an absolute steal at Beer Geeks Shop in downtown Rockwall. Thanks for listening to the Jam Session podcast. Find us on Instagram at Jam Session Cast. We're also available on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe today by searching Jam Session Podcast or just find us on Twitter at McMattRadio, at JJT_journalist. Thanks to Purple Elephant Music for the music you hear at the end and beginning of each episode. He is the radio and TV star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor, and I'm just a guy, Matt McLaren. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review this episode, and tell your friends, hey man, found something I like, you'll like it too. The Jam Session Podcast. We'll catch you next time, available everywhere you listen to podcasts.